My wife Lisa sat at the edge of our bed and looked me straight in the eye. "Mark, I'm not happy. I want a divorce." I stared at her for a few seconds, like my brain needed to reboot. After nearly 20 years of marriage, 2 daughters, a home, and what I thought was a stable life, she just dropped that on me. I didn't say anything right away. I was trying to keep calm, not say something I'd regret. But inside, I felt like the ground had shifted under me. "I'm sorry," I said finally. "What brought this on?" Lisa took a breath, as if she had rehearsed it. "I've just been feeling stuck. I need space, some time to figure things out. I've been talking to Angela. She helped me see that I need more." Angela, the 3-time divorcee who handed out marriage advice like she was licensed. That woman had been hanging around Lisa far too often lately, always whispering, always smirking like she knew something the rest of us didn't. What Lisa didn't know, and I never told her, was that Angela once got drunk at a family barbecue and cornered me near the garage. She pressed up against me and said, "If you ever get tired of being the good husband, you should know I've had a crush on you for years." I pushed her off, said nothing, walked away, and never brought it up again. But I never forgot it. Angela wasn't just divorced. She was a homewrecker looking for company. "So let me get this straight," I said, keeping my voice even. "You want a divorce because Angela, of all people, thinks you should?" "No," she said quickly. "It's not just her. It's me. I need to explore other opportunities. See who I am without being someone's wife. Maybe I don't want a divorce yet. Maybe just a legal separation. Try life apart for 90 days. That's what Angela did. It helped her think clearly. "Let me guess," I said. "During those 90 days, we both get to date, and it's not considered cheating." She gave a small nod. I sat with that. "If that's what you want," I said slowly, "then I'll support you. But I'm filing too. This isn't just your show." She looked confused. "Why would you file?" "Because I'm not going to stand on the sidelines while you play around. You want freedom? You're not the only one who gets it." Now she looked uneasy, like I had just flipped a switch she didn't know existed. "I didn't say you were a bad husband, Mark, or a bad father. But you said you needed more than what I give. That's the same thing." There was a pause. She glanced down. "I haven't contacted a lawyer yet, but I was thinking of using Tom Baker. He did Angela's. Then I'll call Karen, my cousin. She's already said she'd represent me." Lisa flinched. "Karen? You know how I feel about her. She's good at what she does. And now's not the time to care about who likes who." She went quiet. I could tell this wasn't how she expected the conversation to go. Maybe she thought I'd beg her to stay, or offer to go to counseling. But I wasn't about to cling to someone who wanted to let go. "We've got 2 weeks until the new month," I said. "We can use that time to prep. Living arrangements, financial split, telling the kids." "Why so soon?" she asked, like it was too real now. "Because separation is supposed to be a preview of divorce. If we just play house like nothing's changed, we'll learn nothing. And I'm not doing this halfway." She looked like she wanted to say something but bit it back. I stood up. "I'm making coffee. Grab a notepad. We've got planning to do." By the time she joined me in the kitchen, I already had the coffee on and a pen in hand. "Let's start with the girls," I said. "They need to hear this from both of us. Same story. No blame, no drama." Lisa frowned. "Can't we wait? Maybe we won't even need to tell them if we don't go through with it. And if they ask why I'm not living here anymore?" I figured. "You might still stay here during the separation." I looked at her like she was kidding. "You want to bring guys around while I do bedtime stories?" "I didn't say that. Lisa, if we're doing this, we're doing it clean. I'll get an apartment near work. Weekends with the girls. Fair time for both parents." She was looking down now, twisting the coffee mug in her hands. "I thought maybe it wouldn't be this real," she whispered. "Oh, it's real. There's rent, utilities, canceling the joint accounts, child support calculations, chores you'll handle on your own now. It's not just me time with mimosas and new dates. This is life." She was starting to unravel. and I could see it. The plan she cooked up with Angela didn't come with a budget spreadsheet or custody calendar. I handed her a coffee and kept writing. She didn't drink it. She just sat there, quiet. She wanted space. I gave her space, along with a map of everything she was about to lose. What she didn't know was, I wasn't even close to finished. The kitchen was silent except for the scribble of my pen and the hiss of the coffee machine. Lisa sat across from me, quiet, staring at the notepad like it was going to attack her. "All right," I said, flipping to a clean page. "We need to figure out the structure. Where the girls will stay, how we'll split weekends, holidays, school pickups. We also need to divide the bills, the credit cards, the bank accounts. Everything." Lisa blinked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "Isn't that? We're just separating. It's not a full-on divorce yet." I nodded. "Right. But you said you wanted to see what it would be like to live apart. This is what it looks like." "But we're still married, Mark." "Technically," I replied. "But emotionally, you took that ring off the second you asked for space." She flinched at that. I didn't say it to be cruel. I said it because I needed her to realize what she started. I looked down at the notepad. "Let's talk logistics. I'll move out. I'm already looking at apartments close to work, so I can still get the girls on weekends. They'll each have a bed. We'll stick to the standard split, every other weekend, alternating holidays. Unless you want to work out something different." Lisa shook her head, barely able to meet my eyes. "Good," I said. "That gives them some consistency. But you should know school nights will be tough. I can't drive them across town at 6 o'clock in the morning. You'll need to handle weekday transportation and make sure their routines aren't disrupted." "You're acting like I'm kicking you out." "No, Lisa. I'm giving you what you asked for. This is what space looks like." She opened her mouth, closed it, then said, "I thought we could ease into it. That's not how this works. We either do it or we don't." I flipped another page in the notebook. "Now for money. We cancel joint checking and savings accounts. We get new credit cards in our own names. All shared bills, mortgage, utilities, insurance, get split or reassigned." "You make more than me," she said quietly. "And I'll factor that into child support," I replied. "This isn't about punishing you. It's about reality." She looked down. "I didn't think it would be like this." "Yeah," I said. "Angela probably left that part out." That stung. I saw it in her face. I wasn't trying to be petty, but she needed to wake up. "I'll keep a running list," I added, tapping the notebook. "We'll itemize everything. You'll take over groceries, gas, maintenance appointments, everything I've handled for the last 2 decades. She looked completely overwhelmed now. The picture she had painted in her head, this romantic little freedom experiment, was already burning at the edges. "I don't even know how to do some of that stuff." "Then you'll learn. Just like I'll learn how to pack school lunches, manage bedtime solo, and keep the house from falling apart when the girls stay with me." Silence. Then she finally said it. "This isn't what I thought it would be." I leaned back in my chair. "Then maybe you should have thought harder before saying, 'I want a divorce.'" She looked like she might cry, but I didn't stop, because I wasn't done showing her what this really meant. "I'm also setting up a new budget," I said. "I'll need to cut costs, no more morning coffee runs, no more Waffle House breakfasts. And your gym, brunches, and spa days? That's on you now. You want independence? Own it." Her eyes locked on the page as I wrote down another line. "Legal separation. Real-world simulation of divorce." "What if we don't go through with it?" she asked. "What if we change our minds? Then we'll know it wasn't because we were scared of the unknown. We'll know it was real." I flipped another page, paused, and said calmly, "By the way, during this time we're both allowed to date, right?" She hesitated. That's how these things usually work." I nodded and wrote down, "Mutual agreement. No jealousy, no interference." Lisa's voice was shaky now. "So, are you planning to date?" "I'll be honest. I haven't made any plans yet. But I'm not going to sit here and wait for you to find yourself while I stay in neutral. If you're out there exploring, so am I." She stared at me, quiet. I could almost see the panic setting in. The realization that I wasn't going to be the doormat she expected. She stood up abruptly. I need to lie down. Go ahead, I said. I'll keep writing. She walked out of the kitchen like she was moving through a fog. I stayed at the table, staring at the words I'd just written. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about fairness. It was about clarity. She said she wanted freedom, but she never asked what freedom costs. She'd find out soon enough, and she wouldn't like the price. The next morning I woke up alone. Lisa was still in bed, pretending to sleep. I didn't say a word. I just got up, grabbed my notepad, and went back to the kitchen. I started making lists. Bills, chores, kids' school stuff, repairs, maintenance. All the things I usually handled without a second thought. Lisa was about to experience life without a built-in support system. I figured she needed a clear picture of what her new freedom looked like. By the time she stumbled into the kitchen in her robe, coffee was already brewing, and the notepad had filled up with more than she could probably process. "What's all this?" she asked, still half asleep. "Your new life," I said. "Itemized." She blinked. "Excuse me? Mortgage, utilities, insurance, trash, streaming services, Amazon Prime, credit card points, groceries, car maintenance, kids' dance fees, sports uniforms, haircuts, birthday parties, everything." She leaned over and saw it for herself. I had even broken it into 3 columns. What she would take over, what I'd cover, and what we'd have to negotiate. There was a line where I'd written, "You'll need to find a plumber. Remember the basement leak?" Followed by HVAC service due in September, and dentist appointments. Girls overdue by 2 months. Lisa sat down hard in her chair. "You made all this last night?" I didn't even look up. Couldn't sleep. She stared at the notepad in silence while I flipped to the next page. My projected expenses for the apartment. Rent, groceries, furniture, kids' beds, towels, toiletries, utilities. Split from scratch. "Wait," she said suddenly. "Are you actually planning to move out?" I already talked to Brooke. She manages units at Sunset Ridge. They've got a 2-bedroom opening if I act fast. Close to work. Big enough for weekend visits with the girls. "Brooke," she said slowly. "Isn't she your secretary?" I nodded. "Yeah." Lisa's face twitched. "So, you're getting apartment tips from your secretary now?" "She moonlights as a leasing manager." I asked. She helped. Simple. I didn't bother explaining that Brooke offered to put in a good word with the landlord or that she gave me a rent discount if I agreed to do some light maintenance. Lisa didn't need those details. Yet, she stood up, circling the table like the floor was lava. I didn't think you'd really go through with all of this." I looked at her then, dead on. "You thought I'd wait around, keep mowing the lawn and fixing the sink while you find yourself. You thought I'd stay in the house and play the role of your placeholder husband." Lisa said nothing. That's when her eyes caught something else in the notebook. A page she hadn't noticed. "What's this?" She picked it up and read the bold heading at the top. Potential dating interests during separation. There were 2 columns. The first, women who have shown interest. The second, women I might ask out. Her hand was shaking as she read the first column. And then she saw it. Her sister's name. Monica. She snapped her head up. "You put Monica on this list?" "She's the one who said it. Not me." Lisa's face went pale. "When?" "That barbecue 2 summers ago." She'd had a few too many margaritas and said, "If Lisa ever screws up and lets you go, I'll be first in line." I laughed it off. But I wrote it down today, just in case. Lisa grabbed her phone, stormed out of the kitchen. I kept sipping my coffee. 10 minutes later, I heard her yelling from the living room. "You're a traitor. A backstabbing little snake." She was on the phone with Monica. I walked past her just in time to hear, "You can't just go after my husband." And Monica's voice through the speaker. "Why not? You're the one giving him up." Lisa hung up, threw her phone on the couch. Then she turned to me and hissed, "You're doing this to hurt me." I shook my head. "No. I'm doing this because you wanted space. I'm just making room. She looked like she wanted to scream, but instead, she went quiet. Real quiet, which was worse, because I knew what silence meant with her. It meant she wasn't done yet. Not even close. That afternoon, Lisa was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't come from peace. It comes from scrambling to come up with a new strategy. She sat on the couch with her arms folded, pretending to scroll her phone, pretending not to be furious that I'd listed her sister as a potential date. But I could feel it boiling off her. Every few minutes she glanced at me, lips tight, breathing shallow. I went back to my list, flipped to a blank page, and started jotting down more things to prep for the split. Then I got to something I had almost forgotten, until now. Her friend, from work. Jason Wright. Tall, slick, always had a smile a little too wide. I'd never met the guy, but his name came up just enough times in just the right tone to raise a flag. So I asked, flat out while she was sipping water in the kitchen. Lisa, are you planning to see Jason during this separation? Her hand paused halfway to her mouth. What are you talking about? Jason Wright, the guy you work with, the one who plays your favorite songs in the office and always laughs at your jokes. He's just a friend. That's not what Sylvia said. She turned to me like I'd spoken Latin. Who? Sylvia. Heather's assistant. I ran into her at Value Mart while you were at work. Lisa blinked. Hard. She told me Jason's been visiting your desk more than anyone else's. That you two have lunch together almost every day. Now she looked genuinely rattled. Mark, Sylvia's a gossip. She makes up stories. I pulled out my phone. Funny, because I checked Jason's Facebook page. She looked like I had just pulled out a loaded gun. Here's the part that matters, I said, turning the screen toward her. Married. 2 kids. Says here his wife and boys are flying out this summer to reunite with him after baseball season. Lisa stared at the screen like it burned. I didn't know he was married. Really? He never mentioned it once during all those elevator rides. Her face turned red. You said it was almost nothing, I added. Not sure what that means, but judging by your face, it wasn't nothing enough. I swear, Mark, I didn't know. I thought he was divorced. He's not. And his wife posts pictures of their boys every week. Cute kids, actually. Shame if something wrecked their family. Lisa dropped into a chair, staring at the floor. So, how far did it go? Nowhere, she said, barely audible. I mean, we talked. A little flirting. But nothing happened. I tilted my head. Define nothing. She said nothing. I leaned in, lower my voice. Tell me the truth. If I hadn't pulled up his Facebook, would you be with him right now? She stayed silent. And in that silence, I had my answer. So I stood up, picked up my notepad, walked toward the stairs. Where are you going? She asked. To grab a few things. Pack a small bag. Move some stuff into the apartment early. It's not even the first of the month yet. No. But apparently, neither is your loyalty. She looked like she wanted to argue, but her words weren't ready. I stopped at the foot of the stairs, turned back. Oh, one more thing. She looked up. If we're both going to be dating, I think it's only fair that we each run health checks before the 90 days are over. Gotta be smart. You know how things spread. Her mouth fell open. You're disgusting. I shrugged. Just cautious. She didn't know it yet, but this was the moment she lost control of her fantasy. The experiment she designed with Angela? I was about to rewrite the rules. That night, Lisa didn't say a word to me. She stayed holed up in the bedroom. Meanwhile, I stayed at the dining table, scanning apartment listings and noting down budget adjustments. Every time I glanced at the door, I half expected her to come out and try to play nice. She didn't, until the next morning. She walked into the kitchen while I was frying eggs and said with fake sweetness, "Want some coffee?" I didn't answer right away. I knew this version of Lisa. Polished, pleasant, trying to steer things without looking like she was behind the wheel. I looked over my shoulder. Late night realization? I just thought maybe we could talk again. Civilly. I slid an egg onto my plate. Sure. Let's talk. She sat, hands folded, trying to appear calm. But I had something I'd been waiting to bring up. And this was the moment. I want to tell you something, I said. Something I hadn't brought up yet because I was waiting for the right time. Lisa looked up. What? I booked a trip to Maui. For our anniversary. 10 days. 2 islands. First-class flights. All-inclusive. It was supposed to be a surprise. She blinked. You did what? I was going to tell you on our anniversary, I continued. But you beat me to it with the divorce speech. For a split second, I saw her walls drop. Her mouth opened. Her eyes softened. Maui? Are you serious? You know that's been my dream. I know, I said. A long pause. Then she smiled genuinely. We can still go. Together. Maybe. This is the thing we needed. I sat down, met her eyes and said, We're not going. The smile vanished. I tried to cancel it, I added, but it was too close to the date. They only offered a 20% refund. She was silent now. So instead, I continued. I had the agency switch the name on the second ticket to TBD. That means you can take someone else. Lisa's mouth moved, but no sound came out. Your new boyfriend, I said, taking a bite of my eggs, could be a nice getaway for you too. You've got to be kidding me. Nope. I already transferred the ticket. You did that without even asking me? You said you needed space. I'm just making the trip part of your journey. Her jaw was clenched now. I wanted to go with you, she said through her teeth. You wanted a divorce. Pick one. She stood suddenly. Her chair scraped loudly against the tile. I can't believe you're being this cruel. Cruel? I asked, standing slowly. You told me you wanted to explore other people. That's not a line you can walk back just because there's a beachfront resort involved. She stormed out of the room, muttering something about calling Angela. I just sat down and finished my breakfast. I had one last thing to do. I called the travel agent, Rachel Stevens at Pacific Horizon Travel, and asked her to confirm the changes over the phone, just in case Lisa accused me of making it up. When she picked up, I said, Hey, it's Mark Sinclair. My wife's listening on speaker. Rachel said, cheerful as ever, Of course, Mr. Sinclair. I was so sorry to hear you couldn't make the trip. But yes, the reservation has been updated. 10 days in Maui, all-inclusive, for Mrs. Sinclair and a guest. Flights, hotel, food, even surfing lessons. It's all covered. Once she gives us the second passenger's name, we'll finalize everything. Lisa was frozen beside me. Rachel continued, Honestly, sir, most men would have just let the trip burn. You're a better man than most. I smiled. Thank you, Rachel. Just let us know who she'll be bringing. We'll get those tickets printed immediately. We hung up. Lisa turned to me, wide-eyed, red-faced, and furious. You actually planned this a month ago? 3 months ago, I said. I even told your parents back in January so they could keep the girls while we were gone. She went quiet. I could see the war happening behind her eyes, trying to piece together how she'd lost so much control in so little time. And that's when it hit her. This wasn't just about Maui. She was losing more than a trip. She was losing the one person who used to wait for her no matter what. You ever watch someone realize they gambled everything and lost? Lisa stood in the kitchen, staring at me like I'd just stolen her lifeline. The tickets to Maui weren't just a vacation, they were her backup plan. Her proof that maybe, just maybe, she could play around and I'd still be here when she was done. But now she wasn't sure. You told my parents? She asked quietly. Yeah. Had to line up childcare. Thought I was doing something good for us. Lisa backed away from the table, face pale. I need some air. She didn't go outside. She went straight to the bedroom, shut the door, and stayed in there for hours. I figured she was texting Angela or rehearsing a speech. Either way, I wasn't going to chase her. When she finally came out, her eyes were red and her tone had changed. Mark, I've been thinking. Here it comes. This whole thing, this separation idea, maybe it was stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. Let's just forget it. No separation. No divorce. Please. She reached for my hand. I didn't take it. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "No." Her mouth dropped open like she'd misheard. "I can't just forget that you wanted out, that you wanted to see other people, that you picked a fantasy over a family. You said you weren't happy. That doesn't go away just because Maui's on the line." Tears welled up. I was confused. I didn't know what I was saying. "Angela." I cut her off. "Angela's not your brain. You knew what you were doing. You just didn't think I'd react this way." She sniffled. "What if I prove it to you? Show you I made a mistake?" I crossed my arms. "You want to prove something? Here's what you can do." I pulled out a fresh piece of paper and started writing. Number 1. I want a real apology. Not a sorry you're upset thing. I want you to beg for forgiveness. Sincerely. She blinked. "Beg?" "Yep. On paper. In your own words. You wanted to reset the relationship. This is how it starts." She nodded slowly. Number 2, I continued. You call Jason and tell him it's over. Tell him if he ever contacts you again, I'll message his wife and forward screenshots. She opened her mouth. "No discussion," I added. "And if you don't know if he's married, that's strike 3. Lisa looked away. 3, I said. "Make a list. All the reasons I should still be married to you. Real ones. Not stuff like, I cooked dinner or we had good times. Why should I take you back after this?" She wiped her eyes and nodded again. "And last," I said, "call Angela and tell her you're done listening to her. That she ruined your marriage and you want no part of her anymore. Cut it clean." Now her mouth dropped for real. "That's not fair. She's my best friend." "She's not a friend. She's a demolition crew. You want to fix this? Lose her. If I hear her name again, I'm out." Lisa stood there, stunned. Then she whispered, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll do all of it." "Good," I said, "because I'll be back at 7 tonight, and I want to see it all written out. Apology, list, proof that you ended it with Jason and Angela." She nodded again, slower this time. "I'll do it." I grabbed my keys, took a suitcase from the hall. "I'm taking a few things to the apartment, so I don't have to move everything all at once." "You're really moving out?" I paused at the door. "You said you wanted to feel what separation's like. Welcome to it." As the door closed behind me, I could still hear her breathing. Shaky, uncertain. And for the first time since this all started, it wasn't me who was afraid of being alone. You ever watch someone try to undo a train wreck with a pen? I came back just before 7 o'clock. Lisa had cleaned the house, lit a candle, made dinner her "please don't leave me" meatloaf. It smelled like desperation. She greeted me with a weak smile and handed me a stack of papers. "I did what you asked," she said softly. I sat down at the table, set the papers in front of me, and didn't say a word. She stood there watching like she was waiting for a verdict. First page, her apology. It started with "Dear Mark," and the handwriting was shaking. She admitted to everything. Listening to Angela, ignoring red flags, pretending I didn't matter. She even wrote that asking for a separation was the dumbest decision of her life. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. I kept reading. Second page, the list. "Reasons you should stay married to me." It was long. She listed how we built our lives from scratch, how she supported my business, raised our girls together, never once doubted me as a father. She brought up the small stuff too. Our inside jokes, her late-night back scratches, the way I always waited up when she got home late. She even mentioned the night I stayed up with her when her mom passed, how I held her while she sobbed into my shirt. She wasn't just writing to win me back. She was remembering who we were. Then came the screenshots. One message to Jason, "Please don't contact me again. This has gone too far. I'm trying to repair my marriage." Another one to Angela. "You gave me the worst advice of my life. I almost lost everything because of you. Don't call me again." I leaned back in my chair, staring at the last page. Lisa was sitting across from me, barely breathing. "You did all this?" I asked. She nodded. Every word. We sat in silence. Then she broke. "I ruined everything, didn't I?" Tears started rolling down her cheeks. I was selfish. I was stupid. I thought you'd always be there, no matter what. But I didn't think about how this would destroy you. She slid out of her chair and dropped to her knees. Please, please give me another chance. I'll be the best wife you've ever seen. I'll never even look at another man. You can track my phone, my texts, whatever it takes. I looked down at her, the woman I married, who had ripped my heart out just days earlier, now on the floor begging me not to walk out for good. And for a moment, I almost gave in. Almost. I stood up slowly and helped her back into the chair. Then I spoke. What you wrote. It meant something, and I can tell you mean it. She wiped her face, hopeful. But, I added, I don't know if I can just hit reset and pretend this never happened. But I'm trying, she started. I know, I said. But I'm not the same man you handed that divorce bomb to on Sunday night. You wanted to see what life apart would feel like. I still need to feel that, too. She froze. Her mouth opened, then closed again. I'll stay at the apartment, I said. For now. I need clarity just like you did. And you can't be the only one who gets to change their mind. Her hands were shaking. You're not saying it's over, are you? No, I said. I'm saying I'm not ready to say it's not. Then I picked up the papers and walked toward the front door. Where are you going now? To think. Can I at least hug you? I paused, then nodded. She hugged me like she was trying to hold a ghost. As I stepped outside, one thought kept echoing in my head. She finally understands how much damage she did. But the question now wasn't whether she wanted to fix it. It was whether I still wanted to be there when she did. I didn't sleep at the apartment that night. I just sat in the quiet, thinking about Lisa, about how quickly she flipped when she realized I wouldn't stick around and play backup husband, about how she burned down a perfectly good marriage because she thought the grass might be greener. The next morning I got a text from Lisa. I'm ready to talk more if you are. The girls are with my parents tonight. Come by for dinner. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I stopped by the house after work. I walked in, and Lisa had candles going again, music playing low, trying to recreate normal. But it didn't feel normal. Felt like a play. And I wasn't buying tickets. She brought out dinner. Her eyes stayed locked on mine the whole time, watching every reaction. After we ate, she slid another paper across the table. What's this? I asked. Just something else I wrote. To show you I'm serious. I opened it. It was a new list. How I'll make it up to you. It had promises. Date nights, therapy, giving up her girls' weekends, full digital transparency, logging out of all social media, for good. Somehow it made me feel worse. You don't have to become someone else, I said. You just had to not betray me. She went quiet, then said, You're still thinking about Monica, aren't you? I blinked. What? My sister. You put her on that list. And? Lisa's eyes narrowed. She's not who you think she is. Oh, I know exactly who she is, I said. She's the one who didn't lie to my face while texting a married man during work hours. Nothing happened with Jason, she snapped. We only flirted, and I was supposed to just sit home and make sure the Wi-Fi worked while you flirted on elevators? She stood. You're being cruel. No, I said. I'm being honest. Something you should have tried earlier. She stared at me, and I saw the anger boiling up again. The same cold fury she used when things didn't go her way. You know what? She said, grabbing her phone. Maybe you want me to be the villain. Maybe you need it. But don't act like you've been perfect. I tilted my head. What does that mean? Your list of women? How many have you talked to already? I stood. None. Because unlike you, I wasn't looking for an exit while I was still inside the house. That shut her up. She sank back down into the chair, like someone had just pulled the air out of her lungs. Then why did you write it? She whispered. To show you I have options too. That you're not the only one who could be wanted. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she asked, Are you going to date any of them? I looked at her for a beat. Depends. On what? On whether I feel like trying again with someone who already left me once. I walked toward the door. "Mark," she called out, voice shaking. "Don't go." I turned. "If we're still separated," I said slowly, "then technically, I'm allowed to date, right?" Lisa swallowed hard. "I guess." I nodded. "Good. Then how about Friday night?" She blinked. "What? Friday night? You, me, dinner, a movie. Let's call it what it is, a date. No promises. Just see what it feels like." She stood slowly, like she wasn't sure if she was dreaming. "You're asking me out?" I gave her a half smile. "Yeah. Thought I'd try dating during this separation too." She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. She just stood there, stunned, like her whole plan had turned inside out, because it had. She wanted to explore. Now she was being explored. You ever get a message that makes your jaw hit the floor? That morning, my phone buzzed with a notification. Angela, Lisa's little chaos coach. The same woman who helped set fire to my marriage. I hadn't blocked her. I wanted to see what her next move would be. And sure enough, she didn't disappoint. "Angela, so, you're single now, huh? We're not together anymore. And I would love to lift up your skirt when I see you." I stared at it for a full minute. No shame. No hesitation. Just full-on disrespect from the woman who had already whispered poison into my wife's ear and now wanted to flirt. I didn't respond. Instead, I took a screenshot and saved it for later. That night, Lisa and I sat on opposite sides of the living room, not talking, just existing. The space between us was colder than ever. "So," I said, casually, "you talked to Angela today?" Lisa shifted in her seat. "No, I haven't since I told her off." "Interesting," I said, pulling out my phone. I turned the screen toward her. She read the message once, then again. Then her face turned ghost white. "I didn't know she would. You really think she just corrupted your marriage out of goodwill? That woman's been circling since the moment she met me." Lisa's voice dropped. "I didn't know she was like that. She hit on me at your family barbecue. She did it again now. And you took marriage advice from her like she was your therapist. I thought she was just helping." "Helping who?" I asked. "You or herself?" Lisa sat there, speechless. I let the silence hang, then leaned forward. "Look me in the eye and tell me she wasn't fueling your decision to split." I can't," she said. "Because she did." That was the first real truth I'd heard from her in weeks. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, let her sit with it. When I came back, I said, "This is what happens when you surround yourself with people who cheer for your destruction. They don't want you happy. They want you broken like them." Lisa looked down. "Delete her number," I said. "Right now." She nodded and pulled out her phone. "Gone." "Good," I said. "And if she ever messages again, I'll show her husband. She's not married. She's somebody's problem. And I'm not letting her make me one of them." Lisa looked shaken, like she was finally starting to see the damage she helped cause. And maybe, just maybe, regretting who she let steer the wheel. Then, for the first time in a while, her voice sounded small. "Are we really going on that date Friday?" I nodded. "Yeah, but you should know something." "What?" "It's not a restart. It's a test. I'm not falling back into a broken system. If I see one red flag, I'm out. And I don't care how many lists you write or dinners you cook." Lisa swallowed hard. "Understood." "Good," I said, "because I'm not the same man who got blindsided on Sunday night. And she wasn't the same woman who thought she could lose me and still win." Friday was coming. And for the first time in a long time, she was the one wondering if she'd be enough. You ever take someone out and realize halfway through, you don't even know who they are anymore? Friday night, I picked Lisa up at 7 on the dot. She opened the front door wearing that black dress I used to love. The one she hadn't touched in years. I could tell she was trying to rewind the clock, to remind me of who she used to be. I didn't compliment her, not because she didn't look good, but because I wasn't sure I meant it. We drove in silence. This wasn't romance, it was a test. A performance with high stakes. She didn't ask where we were going. just sat still, hands folded, trying not to say the wrong thing. Dinner was quiet at first. She barely touched her salad. I cut into my steak like it was the only thing in the room I trusted. Finally, halfway through the meal, she broke the silence. "I've been thinking about Maui." I raised an eyebrow. "I would have said yes, if you'd asked me that night." "You mean the same night you said you wanted a divorce?" She flinched. "I was stupid," she said. "I didn't see what I was about to lose." "Yeah, funny how that works." Another pause. Then she added, "Jason blocked me." I kept chewing. I checked his profile one last time. He wiped everything. "I think he's scared his wife's going to find out." "She should," I said flat. "She deserves better." Lisa nodded. "So did you." There was honesty in her voice this time. Not desperation. Not manipulation. Just regret. I didn't answer. I didn't know if I could. Then she asked, "Are you seeing anyone?" "No," I said. "But not because I can't. I'm just not sure I care to." That stung her. I could see it. "You hate me," she whispered. "No," I said, leaning back. "I don't hate you." "Then what is it?" "I don't trust you. And I don't know if I like who I'm becoming around you." She looked confused. "I've got all the power now," I said. "You messed up, and now you're chasing me. Begging. Writing lists. Watching every word you say. And that's wrong. It is if I start enjoying it." That hit hard. For both of us. I didn't want to become the guy who dangled love like a prize. That's not who I was. That's not what I wanted to teach our kids. We finished the meal in silence. Outside, under the parking lot lights, I took a breath. "I've been thinking," I said, "about that Maui trip." She turned, eyes wide with hope. "I'm not saying we go as a couple. I'm saying maybe we go as a family. You, me, the girls." She didn't say anything. "I don't know what's going to happen with us," I continued, "but I do know they deserve some kind of peace. Some kind of memory that doesn't end with slammed doors and court papers." She swallowed hard. "So it's for them?" "Mostly, yeah." That crushed her. I saw it. But it was the truth. And maybe for once we were finally dealing in truth again. She nodded. "Okay." I walked her to the door. She stood there, like she was waiting for a kiss that didn't come. "Good night, Lisa." She hesitated. "Mark, do you think we'll ever be the same?" "No," I said. "And that's not all bad." As I walked back to the car, I realized something that chilled me deeper than anything she'd done. This relationship wasn't ours anymore. It was a slow-motion cleanup of something that had already shattered. And I wasn't sure if I was trying to save my wife, or just trying not to break my daughter's hearts. You ever smile for the camera knowing it's all fake? Maui looked like paradise. But for us, it was the last act of a play already falling apart. The girls were happy, laughing on the beach, building sandcastles, begging for shaved ice. And we played along. Lisa and I smiled, held hands in front of them, even took selfies like everything was fine. Behind the scenes, though, different story. Every night in the hotel room felt like a stranger on the other side of the bed. Conversations were short, forced. I caught her staring at me sometimes, like she was hoping to find the man she used to know. But I wasn't him anymore. We weren't fighting. That was the strangest part. No arguments. No yelling. Just two people trying not to ruin their daughter's vacation. And that was the moment I realized. This wasn't a marriage anymore. It was a performance. One morning, I woke up early and watched Lisa sleeping. Peaceful. Tired. Maybe even relieved it was ending quietly. When we got back, we unpacked like roommates. No talk of what came next. No big speech. Just a silent, mutual understanding. That trip was our ending. A beautiful setting for a relationship that had nothing left to say.